Auth 66. Yeah. I think it's day 15, I think. It's day 16. Doesn't matter. When I title this video, I will title it the right number. I was thinking about, I wrote down a few notes here, so pardon me if I look down. Sometimes I look down anyway, but I think it's fair to say I've been out of office the last little bit, so getting myself squared away today has my brain a little bit frazzled, but as I talked about yesterday, I want to stay committed to this cause. So I was having a conversation today that made me think about something, and it's definitely an application that I think other MSPs could hear, but also other business owners, because I think we tend to get in our own head about what we want and need from employees, and I don't know if we realize how difficult that can be on their end sometimes. And I kind of want to talk about something, which is decisions. So owners, leaders, managers, we get to practice making them each day. And to some degree, I mean, maybe that's true for, some of our employees too. But for the most part, a lot of decisions that get made might be stuff that they've already got instruction and direction on. But what I've noticed is that, there's times where there seems to be this paralysis on decisions, and a good vector for that is, missing clarity. And when I say clarity, I mean, you might give them an instruction on how you want something done, but they want to make you happy. They want to do their job to the fullest, and your happiness with what they've done or with the outcome is such a, vested part of that if you don't make what would make you happy clear, that can be hard, right? Because they're going to invent what that is, or they're going to invent all the ways that you might be upset with what they've done. I've had that where I've had some of my employees say, well, I didn't do this because it was going to cost this, and I was worried that you would be upset about that. But in reality, the cost of what they could have done versus the time that was wasted, it wouldn't have registered. So clarity, means a lot of different things to different people. So I think there's ways to do that in job descriptions for sure. But I'm trying to go with ways to create clarity that focus more on less about being specific and more about the spirit of things, because that allows for freedom. And I think as owners, we would probably want people to take and make decisions that would consider, the outcome that we would like versus following instructions exactly how we want. Obviously in stuff like finance, that'd be different. But for the most part, I think if people were to keep the following things in mind when making decisions, it's a really good framework to have, to make sure that you're delivering outcomes that are good for the company, that align with ownership or leadership, and that are ultimately serve, the employee the best too, because we want what's best for their career. So very first thing that any company needs, no matter what business framework that you apply, is a good set of core values. Now, core values are not aspirational. These are things that you should be already, that you should be hiring against. Core values are the how of how we do things, what a person must bring in terms of the essence of how. A really good mission statement, which says, the actual product that we're delivering in references some of the core values, probably in the spirit of it. It should be inspiring to the entire company. And there's another one that we learned about through some of John DiJulius, that's a very big mouthful, John DiJulius's customer service training. And it's the customer experience action statement. So this basically is a statement that says what we should be doing for our clients, how we should be doing it. And I mean, I already said the how before, but I'll give you an example of what ours is, right? So our customer experience action statement is to be our client's compass. We want to help point them in the right direction. Our pillars of that are to lead, guide, and steer them through whatever decisions they're making or whatever issues or problems they're facing. And if you considered yourself a captain of a ship and you were the person who was in charge of the moment and you thought that it was your job to lead through people through whatever was going on, we're really just talking about empowering each person that's interacting with their customers to be able to be a leader for them, because ultimately this is an area that may not know as much about. They've hired us in order to be led, in order to have a partner, and that's an important piece to us in how we approach it. We're not going to say, well, I don't know, you do what you want to do, because that's not what we're here for. People engage in MSP because they want that guidance, right? So having that clarity is important, because nobody on my staff should be going, do what you want. They should be guiding and steering. Now, if you're one of our clients watching this and you've had somebody do that, you come find me, because I want to know about it. Not because I want to give them trouble, because I want to coach. I want to help them understand, because that's what we're here for, right? And that was the next part of what I was going to say, was like, you also have to create clarity through when things happen and something goes awry from what's in your brain. You give feedback, you coach, and you create that clarity by being, I want to say, like, mentally flexible, to not be harsh and not be overtly critical. I mean, you can say things that are critical in nature that are compassionate. They don't have to be aggressive. The messaging matters on how somebody receives something. And if you really want lasting change, then you want to consider how you say something to somebody, because then they'll be better able to receive it. And I think, that fear of repercussion is a lot of times why people make poor decisions, because either they freeze or they double down on something they really shouldn't have because they're afraid. So when I think about, this topic and how hard it can be to make decisions. I mean, I'm the oldest of four. I'm very used to being in charge. I've been a business owner for quite a bit of time. I make decisions every single day. It can be exhausting. And that's something that I'm practiced at doing. Maybe I make too many, I don't know. But it's exhausting for me. So I can't imagine for people who don't have the practice how difficult that would be. Empowering your teams means understanding what it is about what faces them that might be difficult. And I would say consider how you help them make the right decisions instead of necessarily taking the decisions from them. I think it's David Marquette that wrote, it was him that wrote Leadership is Language, and a lot of the language that we use can actually help encourage that. I highly recommend that book if you haven't read it. But yeah, that's my Auth 66 for today. See you tomorrow.